Alright, Danky King gang. In part 1, we talked about Matt Armadillo Hunter and how he basically said, hey, all you trans people who were part of the atheist community of Austin, fuck you. That's basically what he did. He's sticking up for his friend, Stephen Woodford, aka Rationality Rules. First of all, if you're gonna have like the big boy, big brain balls to call yourself Rationality Rules, don't do irrational things like transphobia. But let's move on.
In line with your statements, with your principles, and in fact, I think you were that the ACA was obligated to make that statement because his comments in social media are in fact transphobic and insensitive, right? And they were right to call him out on it.
I think in terms of Stephen being called out for his original video and condemning that video.
He's responsible for it, isn't he?
Yes. He's responsible for the creation and release of that video.
He made it.
But
he made it.
Sure.
Presumably,
Here's the thing, little piss pants. You are responsible for the shit that comes out of your mouth. I'm responsible for the shit that comes out of my mouth. And with based on how I run my mouth, chances are one day I'm gonna slip up and make some stupid statement. But you know what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna double down and triple down and be like, oh, I didn't say what I accidentally slipped up and said. But then again, I don't really see a scenario where that happens because I'm not a fucking transphobe. Alright? I'm not a bigot. I'm not bigoted against anybody except for fucking capitalist chuds. If you're a fucking chud, I'm bigoted as fuck against you, dude.
I'm allowed to make the inference that it reflects his beliefs and attitudes, right?
I mean,
Oh, look at the logic bomb being dropped on Matt Dillahunty for a change. Yeah, Matt, how does it fucking feel to be on the receiving end of a logic bomb? You're on the wrong fucking side here, partner.
It doesn't mean that your specific inference is correct, but yeah, sure, you can do that. In much the same way that you said you're not privy to the private conversations, this is one of my major objections. The board made a statement without talking to the people who were actually involved. So the board didn't have access to those conversations or the reason why the host and the producer agreed to put him on the show.
Oh, but we're just supposed to take your fucking word for it that Rationality Rules had a fucking change of heart and decided to become a good dude and just love trans people after you gave him a little, after you sat him down, had a little daddy conversation, you daddied up and you were like, alright son, here's how it's gonna fucking be. You gotta cut that transphobia shit out. But, you know, let's not have this, like, available for everybody to see. These are private conversations. Just fucking take my word for it.
In the first place. And from Stephen's perspective, he had shown up in the United States, had a video put out pointing out his flaws, had acknowledged this to everybody, had posted a comment underneath the video stating that he knew that this was a big problem and would be addressing it when he got back, had conversations with everybody involved with the show itself, had come in and done the show without talking about the subject because we did not want to give it more legs than it already had.
But see, that is the big problem, Matt, is that you had him on your show anyway. Why the fuck did you do that? Why? You wouldn't have a racist on your show. You wouldn't have some kind of crazy fucking theist on your show. So why the fuck would you have a transphobe on your show? I don't give a fuck if he's had a heart-to-heart with you in private conversation and he's revealed that he's really cool with trans people. That doesn't fucking reassure literally any trans person in your fucking audience, Matt. That's a piss-poor fucking excuse. All you're doing is defending your fucking drinking buddy, dude. Pathetic.
Hopped on a plane, got home, and was about to start working on his apology video when the ACA did a denouncement, which completely blindsided him. And of course, so a lot of this has just been
oh, poor him, he's been blindsided. How about all the fucking trans people and trans allies that looked up to you, Matt, who have been blindsided by this clusterfuck? I've certainly been fucking blindsided.
Something happened and people reacted. Something happened and people reacted.
I understand all that. The ACA has no obligation to manage Steve Woodford's feelings. His feelings are his feelings. And so if he felt attacked,
And facts don't care about them, Matt Dillahunty.
that's on him. That's not his problem. I mean, that's not the ACA's problem, right?
Well,
They were correct. They were correct in
Since when did the ACA become the fucking Rationality Rules Defense Force? I forgot that fucking moment when that happened.
calling him out for hateful, insensitive, ignorant, and transphobic statements in social media.
There were also
and they were
factual.
correct in doing so. And how he feels about that, that's his problem. That's nobody else's problem but his.
Well, not quite.
So let me say
Not
one thing.
quite.
The reason that a lot of people reacted and said, the people that reacted, I mean, one, let me acknowledge right now, there are explicitly and stubbornly transphobic people everywhere, particularly on the internet.
Yes.
That's the norm, right? Things
Okay,
have
so-
gotten better.
Would you like this? Would you like to see my conversations with people on the internet?
I
Every
feel like
single
they were
day,
horrifying.
I get
Yeah.
called every name in the book.
Yeah, no, I have.
and
Yeah.
I get this from a lot of my.
Listen to these fuckers try to like fucking go back and just gloss over the fact that they're defending just a loathsome dude. They are hemming and hawing about this so hard.
My friends, I mean, Danielle Moscato and I have talked about this before, and she gets like some of the most hateful garbage I've ever seen from anybody.
Yeah.
That's my experience too.
The thing is,
There's
there's a difference between those people and someone like Steven.
well, so
Stephen gave
What difference is it? What's the fucking difference, Matt Dillo Hunter? He's got fucking 211,000 fucking subscribers. You don't think that inspires some hatred of trans people in the skeptic community? You dumb fuck. Why are you sticking up for this idiot instead of all the trans people that have looked up to you over all these years? I'm straight, but I'm a fucking ally. It's disgraceful, Matt.
gave those people succor.
so
He
let me.
gave them encouragement. He gave them material that they could use against us.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's being used for that.
So let me.
His
Absolutely.
video is being used to further transphobic hate speech.
Actually, his video is being used to donate money to Sparkle right now.
Well, so let.
Fuck you, Matt. I don't give a flying fuck how many sparkle points his fucking video earns. It's propagating hate speech and transphobia, you dumb shit.
Let me.
But yes, I understand the point, and I agree with it.
Oh, you agree?
So let me-
you agree with it? Well, then why don't you fucking denounce? Why don't you denounce rationality rules? If you agree with the statement that it is transphobic and you don't denounce rationality rules, then by that logic, Matt, put your fucking fedora on, make sure it's well fucking oiled, because by that fucking logic, you are a transphobe, idiot.
Let me sort of clarify why the ACA responded to, or at least that the original statement and condemning it, why there was a wait, what is the character of the ACA?
Just
and
get
it
on
seems
with
like
it,
something
you
objectionable is
hem-hawing
going on.
fuck.
The reason that people who are not transphobes were able to come to some of that conclusion was that he was a guest here, appeared repeatedly on several shows where this was not addressed,
Yeah,
Yeah.
was,
It's-
talked to people here,
a fucking problem.
met people here, etc. And then he left and went home. And then after that, the ACA released the statement. And so
yeah.
for some people, like that looked like, oh, the ACA, there is a false perception that the ACA invited someone because he was popular and we thought he would boost shows, and then
Right.
as soon as they were gone, knifed him. right? And that perception was something that's somewhat problematic because this organization...
So the perception of you stabbing your guest in the back is more problematic than being perceived as an organization that hates transgender people. Well, now we see what your fucking priorities are. They just gave up the fucking ghost, ladies and gentlemen. They just revealed to all of us that they don't give a flying fuck about what the trans community thinks. Trans people, you can fuck off. Trans allies, you can fuck off. The only thing we care about are the fucking chuds. Alright, getting that chud clickbait going. This is disgraceful. This is just, they call themselves skeptics. They call themselves the scholars of logic and reason. What a bunch of fucking frauds.
means a lot to a lot of people. And a lot of those people are trans, and many of our volunteers are trans or were trans. Some of them have left now because of the pain that this caused.
I would have too.
Yeah, and you know what? Rightly so.
Fuck
if
you
you
guys.
are volunteering for an organization that you feel like turn around and isn't defending your right to exist, definitely. That's a statement that I'm here and that I want to hear, but
They're going mask
way
off, guys.
in which that statement was worded,
Well-
we also got feedback from people, some of them who were trans, that said the way that this entire thing was handled by the ACA was wrong and you should click.
Alright, here's the thing. You shouldn't have had a fucking chuds on your show in the first place. But what the ACA did with their initial denunciation of rationality rules was the right thing to do. It was the best thing you could have done with this situation. Alright? You guys coming in after the fact, making a redaction of that statement, and then throwing trans people under the bus, that's fucking disgraceful.
Clarify this now. And so
I disagree. I think it was handled correctly.
The problem is the initial statement had factually incorrect information and made promises about things that we couldn't keep and apologized for something. And so when we say, okay, the ACA is not responsible for Stephen's feelings about being hurt about the statement, in a way the ACA is, because he was led to leave here with the opinion that everything was okay because this has been discussed ad nauseum.
So, in other words, you invited him on there for a fucking safe space so you could coddle his balls, not hold his feet to the fire. You were perfectly aware of all of his transphobic statements. Oh, and you've had private conversations with him, I'm sure. But that's not fucking assuring at all, Matt Dillahunty. And you are just defending this fucking chud. Let's keep going. Let's see your fucking excuse. Let's see these factual errors that were so critical to throw trans people under the bus. Let's see the facts that made you turn your back on one of the most vulnerable and marginalized communities, not only in Austin, but in the whole USA.
And the second he landed, he finds out that not only is it evidently not okay, but he's been denounced.
He's not the
What was
fucking
factually
victim
wrong
here.
in the statement released by...
Once again, Big Baby Boy is responsible for the things that come out of Big Baby Boy's mouth.
the ACA Board of Directors.
See, I don't.
If you don't want people to get pissed off at what you say, then don't say things that will piss people off. Little word of advice, little rationality rule for Mr. Rationality Rules.
I have the statement in front of me. There was a plural suggesting that he had released multiple videos that were transphobic, which isn't.
It says, I have it in front of me, it says that he had made ignorant and transphobic videos and statements on his social media platforms.
Yeah.
So he does things, he says things on Twitter and other media platforms in addition. So I would assume they're referring to statements made on social media in addition to the video. I don't know what specifically they were referring to, but I just assumed that he did indeed make statements that could be construed as transphobic.
Well,
on Twitter and other platforms.
Well, the thing is, it says videos when it was a video.
Oh. Fuck you, Matt. Alright, you little fucking pencil-pushing, I-dotting, T-crossing, legalistic bastard. What kind of bullshit is that? Oh, well, it said he made transphobic videos when really he just made a video. Who gives a flying fuck? Once again, would you let somebody on your show who made a video where he was denying that the Holocaust happened? Even if it was just one video, oh, what's the big deal, dude? That's bullshit, Matt. You're a fucking chud. You're a traitor. You make me sick. So here's Tracie Harris, the real queen of the ACA, the rightful queen. She was deposed. The coup was staged. We're gonna hear from her what the fuck happened. This is an interview with a guy, Kevin Logan, and we're gonna hear. It says, speaking with Tracie Harris, Jan Peebles, and Claire Woolner about the split within the ACA. So let's give a listen.
And thanks for doing this. I first came to ACA when I was doing a comic strip called Atheist Eve, and that was a while back. I have served with ACA for 13 years. I've served as a host on Atheist Experience and a co-host as well. I served on both iterations of Godless Bitches. I've been on that since its inception. And I have served on the board as secretary and VP in all that time. And I wanted to point out one of the things that Jen just said about reaching out to marginalized people and asking them to be on the board. One of the things that is distinct about many marginalized groups is that they're used to their voices not being heard or considered important. So you do have to make an extra effort to kind of reach out and ask a lot of times, because the people that are most used to having their voices heard and to feeling like their voices are important are the people who you're not going to have a problem getting them to step up. And this is why it's sometimes hard to get diversity, because marginalized people have to really be brave in order to have a voice.
That's true.
It's not like it's going to be heard. When they speak their voice, a lot of people slap it down, and they're going to run into a lot of static that.
And I, as a straight white man, I try my damnedest to make sure that if I'm speaking over anybody who is like a minority, I give them the fucking floor. White guys have had their fucking time to say whatever the fuck they want. And this is my channel, so I do say whatever I want on this channel. But I'm just saying, like, in public or in organizing IRL, you gotta, give the floor to people who are diverse, because they have fucking different points of view than you do, my friend. You can read all the books in the world about oppression, but unless you've experienced it firsthand, you don't know, dude. You don't really know how bad it is.
Other people don't see when they try to speak. And to me, that rolls into kind of why I'm here today. And I felt like it was kind of important to talk a little bit about why I decided to come on, because people who know me are going to see this as a little bit out of my character. One of the things I had posted on Facebook was to say that nobody's entitled to know why I left. That this was like my reasons, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. And I don't owe anyone an explanation that I served for 13 years. I left in good standing, and that's all anybody needs to worry about. But that's mainly a reaction to people that were just going nuts speculating online about why people were leaving and whether it was okay and whether it wasn't. And these are people that knew nothing about the reasons I left. And I just thought it was so out of line to hear people talk about something when I had made no statement, they had no idea, and they were just speaking out of turn. Now, anybody's allowed to speculate. It's not like it's illegal. But I just think that if somebody cares enough about why I left, the thing to do would be to ask me. And there were a few people that came to me and said, is it okay if I ask you? And I said, yeah. And so we talked, and I would send them links and say, here's examples of what I'm talking about that you can go and see that are publicly available to look at, so that you get an understanding of what it was that egregious to me. And so it's not so much that I'm not willing to talk about it, it's that I don't want to talk about it for people who feel entitled to know. That's the thing that bugs me. And since I've left, I haven't watched any programming out of ACA. I haven't initiated contact with anyone from ACA. I haven't proactively posted or said anything about it until just recently. And I no longer am active in the community. I don't consider myself an activist. And I want to just make that really clear. And I think this is an important point, because I do have like one or two loose ends to tie up, and then I'm gone. And I want to stress that in all the years I was with ACA, I was a volunteer. I never earned money for it. I rarely took any kind of stipend for any kind of non-direct
Speed it
thing, like a
up a
speaking
little bit
engagement.
more.
So I have the luxury here of being able to not care about judgments at this point, right? So if people in the atheist community come down on me, I really don't care because I got nothing. I've got no investment anymore, right? And I didn't even have an investment before other than representing
That
ACA.
sucks, man.
So if I had been in a position where something went wrong with me,
I mean, she's been really fucked in the butt. I mean, seriously.
and it reflected poorly on the association, that would be a cost, in my opinion. So I always felt like I needed to keep in good standing because I represent this group. At this point, I don't represent anybody, and I'm not involved anymore, so I really don't care, right? This isn't like I have something to gain or benefit from saying what I think or not saying what I think. This hasn't ever been about me. And with that, I just want to say, I'm going to skip some stuff, but the reason that I finally did decide to come forward was that I was seeing people who were marginalized asking me, would I say something? And some of them were trying to speak, and they were being shut down and censored and banned and blocked, and they can't give their accounts, and they can't say what they know to be true. And when they do say what they know to be true elsewhere, I've seen them called out as liars by people who know that they're not lying. And this is, it kind of made me feel, have you ever read the book The Scarlet Letter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Hester is taking all that heat and the pastor that she had the affair with, he knows he's the guy she won't name. But she's the one taking all the heat.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at it and it's like, I know these people aren't lying, but they're being called out as liars and the public doesn't know. And so I'm looking at it going...
Yeah, by Matt Dillahunty and his fucking crony Chud army that defend rationality rules. It's pathetic, dude. They're censoring, they're banning everybody that talks shit about it on the ACA forums. Yeah, good luck trying to post about this there. You'll get fucking banned.
I can either keep my mouth shut and I have the privilege to walk away from this thing, and it costs me nothing. I just have to turn my back on it and go. But these people are stuck in this because you can't turn around tomorrow and not be a transgender person anymore, right? You can't turn around tomorrow and not be involved in this and have no stake in the damage that's done to your community or to you personally. And when they're getting hurt for standing up for it and they're on the side of what I consider to be right, and I don't say anything, I don't think that's right. So I just wanted to say that's the reason that I decided to do this.
I know I'm right.
Well, thank you for coming on. Well, thank all three of you. Because obviously it would be much easier to stay on the sidelines not saying anything. But you come forward, and thank you for that. Just on a programming note, we were hoping to have...
Alright, so in part 3, we will hear from Tracie Harris specifically what happened. We'll get to the bottom of this. Quite disgusting, guys. Very disappointed. The so-called skeptic community once again throwing trans people under the bus. What a shame. What a shame. Trans rights, everybody. Trans rights are human rights, and human rights to us all.